Welcome, everybody, to One Stage at a Time, the podcast where we're playing through video games one stage at a time, not skipping a single level. Today, we are making our way through the long library in Castlevania Symphony of the Night. I am Aaron Neeson. I'm joined by Andy Prim. Hello, Andy.
Hello, Master Alucard.
And we are joined by Sam Ingersoll. Hello, Sam.
Hello, hello.
Gentlemen, let's talk about Castlevania.
In the long library.
But I gotta say, not that long. Not that long.
No, yeah,
Not
pretty
really.
short library.
I mean, as far as like libraries in the real world go, it's pretty long. But as far as like areas in Castlevania go, it's not that long.
Yeah, we've had longer hallways already. This is not that big of a deal.
Short level, but very important. What was the word? Big on game ability, a word that I can't think of.
Yeah.
The librarian is very important.
The Master
And
Librarian.
We'll be coming back here very often, many times over the course of the game.
Yeah.
So
Aaron,
it's probably good that the long library isn't maybe quite as long as we had hoped.
That's right. Maybe it's better that it's the short library. And we will be coming back here. And there is a boss to fight, just not yet. So we didn't see the boss here. I think you can access it if you do like some fuckery, but as we've seen so many times before, we don't have enough verticality to get there. So we'll be coming back to that later. But mostly it's just the horizontal long library, and then we meet the greatest NPC of all time, the Master Librarian. Aaron, what did you think of the Master Librarian?
He's not a librarian. I couldn't check out a single fucking book from this guy. I was trying to get all these damn Sanderson books because people I know just keep jerking off about him all the time. But he didn't loan me a single thing. He charged out the ass for all of his stuff.
That's true. And it doesn't appear to be a lending library. And it also makes you wonder, like, what kind of books are in this library? You know, like, what is Dracula collecting for his private reserve here? Are we talking like the classics, encyclopedias, things like that? Does he have manga? Well, what's the comic book selection looking like here?
I just got to have everything, right? Like he's a collector, he's a scientist, he's a horny bastard. He is everything. He's got all of it.
I think our friend Mike said he's like Andrew Carnegie. He's just making a public library for the people, for the good of the masses. And whenever Castlevania appears, like every 100 years, he opens it up again, and then the Belmonts just immediately kill him and destroy it, so the people can never have their books.
I mean, that's what I spent most of the time doing in this level is destroying books.
That's true. Yeah, you chopped up a lot of books.
So the Belmonts are book burners. They'd be the modern anti-vaxxers.
They're Luddites. Yeah. They're just complete Luddites. They're anti-science.
I mean,
to be fake news.
To be fair, like, you know, they're sort of right, like with all this, like, religion is the way, because they're right, they got their superpowers, so like all this science is the devil, right? Like,
it's true.
Just pray up to God, he'll fix everything.
In the context of this game, they're absolutely right.
It's just nothing but magic copies of the Magic School Bus that Alucard's destroying.
That's what
Yeah.
I will not permit science to be taught to the children of Transylvania. Even if it is by the attractive Miss Frizzle.
It's creationism only. We need school choice, vouchers for the people.
Harlots and science, be gone!
Miss Frizzle was fine.
Yeah, no, you didn't say a damn thing wrong there, brother.
Yeah, the level itself is pretty much go left, go up or down, and that's about it, really, for this whole area, I would say.
If you explored wrong, though, if you didn't explore everything, you would have missed a couple items. Though
that's true.
Yeah.
There's what is it? A fairy?
Is it the fairy card?
It lets you see the enemy's names. It was a relic.
Right. Yeah. No, I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
And
because up
then,
until now we actually haven't been able to. We can see damage values, and we can see hearts that drop from candles. But I guess we still can't see the names of enemies.
Which is weird. Could you not see the hearts before you got that item?
No, the candles just nothing came out.
When you get it, you would nothing. No items would drop from chandeliers.
Huh.
So yeah, but you get it so quickly that you don't really notice.
Yeah,
and
but
it doesn't
you
count
could
for when you're
conceivably
Richter.
miss it Could you miss it, or like does the game make you get it? I don't remember.
It's right in your way. Like you can not pick it up, but you can't really miss it. It's like right there.
Yeah, like if you've never played this game, it's going to be like big shiny thing on the ground. I'm going to jump over it and purposely miss it. No.
Real quick, one thing that I just noticed that I really love is that when you kill these like floating books, a bunch of like letters fly out of them as they're exploding.
Yeah, it's a nice touch.
Very scroll. That's the name of the item.
Yeah. These things were interesting. I really was taken aback a little bit by the spell books. Like they're the first like truly 3D object in the game. Like they come out from the background and then they're floating around and shifting, and they're all completely like they're polygonal, which I thought was really, really interesting, and it kind of made them tricky for me because I wasn't used to this game at all.
And there's a part when you get the fairy scroll when 3 of them like they come off the shelves in the background and
they're different.
Yeah,
they're different ones. They're like the leveled up ones.
They like
shoot
open
out
up spikes.
And the other ones, one of them shoots out the skulls, and one of them shoots out spikes and like protractors and stuff.
Protractors.
They are. There's like a weird like curved thing that's got a thing. I don't know, a compass or something.
There will be no measuring of angles in Wallachia. I must destroy all of this knowledge.
Science is clearly dangerous. But yeah, you basically go like there's a few items, but the main point of the library is the librarian.
Yeah,
who is basically just a rat. You know, he's got no honor. He said, "Oh, I couldn't, master, but I'll give you fucking money." And he's like, "Oh, hell yeah!"
Oh, well, that would be different. He's like rubbing his hands together. Yeah,
and you can't trust him because look at his chair has a shithole underneath it. He clearly he's never he probably doesn't even know what Dracula looks like, you know. Like he knew he was going to betray him immediately, but he wanted to make sure to get the money first.
That's right. Yeah, he knows the Master Librarian knows how to play ball.
Yeah.
It cracks me up that like there's a hole underneath him. Like you in the like so I imagine he's going to be gone at some point in the future, and you go down that hole.
Well, there is a purpose to that hole,
or he runs away at some point, and that's like an escape route. I'm assuming it's not his shithole. It's not in game. It's not.
Maybe there's a shit demon we fight later, Eric.
Maybe. we don't know that it's not a shithole. That's all
fair.
I'll say about that.
That's true.
There is a way to later. Do something with the. I'm just going to show you a video so you can see what it is. But yes, you can mess with that later. Let me
spoilers if you're playing along at home.
You get the bracelet of librarian lifting, and you can lift him up and go down the hole. And
you're not far off.
You actually put a latex glove on and uppercut up from the bottom through the top of the hole, impaling him through the hole in the ceiling.
I was gonna say, then all of a sudden he's your puppet friend.
You could do like Hadokens through his mouth.
What is with this podcast and like stuff like going through people and coming out their mouths?
Like stuff?
Like Sonic. Wasn't Sonic always doing that?
Sonic loved to roll through like creatures and burst out their buttholes or their mouths.
All right, so check this out, Aaron.
Whoa!
You can take the Master Librarian for a little spin here.
That's hilarious. He's like throwing his arms up like, wee! Wee!
So for those at home listening, you get an item later that lets Alucard shoot straight up in the air, and you can go up the Master Librarian's little hole there and just ram into the bottom of his chair and make him wave his hands in glee as he goes flying into the air.
I imagine they meant for... So is he collecting items right now?
Yeah.
So he's like shaking these items out of the... out of the librarian.
He's knocking them loose, baby.
Oh my god, that's too funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah,
you're playing.
Say what?
I was just gonna say, man, you're playing a totally different game in later on in this game, aren't you? Like you're zipping around like Superman. Like this Alucard has this crazy sword floating around him.
Jumping around all nimbly bimbly from tree to tree.
Yeah. We haven't even scratched the surface. You know, getting to the shop is a good start because you can start getting spells. There's a few items that are really nice that are in there. I think there's a necessary item like this Orb of Unlocking or something.
The Jewel of Open.
Yes. Yeah, Jewel of Open. Something.
We finally get the Jewel of Open, which is the item that we've needed to open those blue doors that we've told you to remember, listeners.
Which I actually did not buy the first time. I was looking at. I looked at everything. Then I bought the the nice sword and something else, and then I was like, oh, I don't have any more money, so I had to go get some. I had to come back for it.
I bought the map, the Jewel of Open, and I can't remember what else. I bought. Elven Cloak.
Yeah, the Elven Cloak is cool.
I got the map and the Jewel of Open, yeah.
So the Jewel of Open is a must buy. It's only 200 gold, but you need it to open the door in the Alchemy Laboratory as well as the door in the Marble Gallery. Those are both required. So you got to buy it. So that's the whole point to coming to the Long Library at this point in the game, just to get the Jewel of Open. Otherwise, you can't progress with the rest of the game. And we'll come back later for another necessary item, but we're not there quite yet. But and then
the dildo of the library.
No, you become the dildo of the librarian later.
Normally,
you guys are playing a different game than I am.
You can butt fist the librarian, but items don't drop unless you've got the dildo equipped.
Oh, that's what I've been doing wrong this whole time.
And you can tell because when you do it without the dildo, he goes, "Her," but when you do it with it, he goes,
Ooh,
small Easter egg.
Thank you, Master Alucard.
Sorry to interrupt, but I felt like it was necessary to get.
It had to be done. You were totally right.
Tips and tricks out there.
That's. I hope that you'll bring us more useful tips and tricks like that in the remainder of this episode. So okay, you got to get the Jewel of Open, and then other items on Andy's recommended buy list. I would go ahead, skip the castle map. All right. Maps are for pussies. We don't use maps on this podcast.
Boo, I use maps. Maps are great.
You're not going to need a map. I guess you can buy it if you want. And then also, like Sam said, I would get the Elven Cloak, not just because it's just a straight upgrade, but also because it changes the color of your cloak. It makes it green instead of red, which is pretty cool.
I love character customizations.
Well, then you're going to love the Joseph's Cloak, which you can't afford yet, probably because it costs like 30,000 gold, although you could grind for it without too much trouble. But that lets you customize the color of it. You can adjust the red, green, and blue values to whatever you want and make it any color you can imagine.
That's wild. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It is. This game has this, like, it's a lot of like, moments, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Like all this stuff, like, could you, like, character customization wasn't really like a thing in games at this point yet. Like soon they were going to start doing that. Maybe there was like an Elder Scrolls like 2D game for I guess Elder Scrolls was 3D pretty quickly, but like maybe you could customize something in Fallout or something.
I think they were all 3D. Those Elder Scrolls games weren't they?
Well,
the first one was like
it was kind of like Doom, sort of.
Yeah, it was like Magic or something.
Yeah, like where you've got
RPG.
A tiny, postage stamp sized square of 3D, and then your menus are always on. And slowly that just replaced everything.
Yeah.
But it was, they were definitely playing with it a lot in this era. It wasn't always like your full set of armor or something, but a lot. You'd always see, you equip a new weapon, you'd see the new weapon that was getting kind of more popular in RPGs, and and then it was not. It's still even rare nowadays. I always get excited when I put on a new piece of armor in an RPG and it changes. I'm like, holy shit, all right. This is immediately better than... It gets an extra point on the rating scale just for that.
Dragon Quest XI is really good for that.
Yes, they do some... Yeah.
What do you guys think about, like... would you guys prefer it when you're wearing an armor... In order to have that armor stats, you need to have that armor on your character? Or do you like it better when you can, like... choose like a wear armor and a stats armor?
The second one. I like the
second one because that's how they do it and Monster Hunter does this, and they just they tease it at. So like at first it's just it can only be whatever you wear, that's what you look like. And as you start playing the game, you're like full set because that's just what you get. And then by the end game, you're like it's just like a fucking kaleidoscope. It looks crazy and like someone ate a bunch of Muppets and puked it on you. But then they always do this in the big first title update. They're like, here's layered armor, which is just a different set of armor you craft, but it's all the sets. And not just like, here's one thing you look like this armor, but every individual piece. So if you find a cool combination that looks good, you just separately put that on your layered armor set, and then whatever you equip stat-wise, you never see. But you can turn it on and off, basically.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And that's how Dragon Quest XI is too. You can swap out. So you can always be wearing the badass armor, but you can equip the armor that looks stupid just because it has better stats.
Well, I didn't know with you, Andy, you're all against like the fast travel because it's like ruins the illusion. So I didn't know if you were going to be like, no, that's not the armor with those stats. You can't be wearing that armor.
But, see, that's what's cool about... They explain it as part. It's not just something that happens in Monster Hunter. Yeah. Like the blacksmith's like, hey, I've got this new thing. It's layered armor, and he explains it, and it's totally different items that you get off of enemies and different tickets and stuff. And it's a whole So like it's got some lore to it. So you can it makes sense.
They explained it. Andy should love that and hate the other thing.
That's true. now that I know that it's explained in game, I'm all in.
Can't like Dragon Quest anymore. Sorry.
Nope, it's dead to me. I'm never playing another Dragon Quest game. All the thousands of hours I've already put into Dragon Quest, I'm just wiping it from my mind. The 7 times I've played Dragon Quest 8, I'm just forgetting it.
You're welcome.
But yeah, it's really cool that you get like it's small differences, cool different cape colors. I think the shields and the swords do. The swords, it's a little harder to tell because you're just whipping them around. It's more like how long they are and how fast they are. Some of them are like more obvious, but
I was going to say there is a pretty good shield here. You can get the iron shield, which as shields goes pretty good, but I think it also has a combination with the shield rod, which we don't have yet. Later. But we're getting there, buddy. We're getting there.
Don't worry. We'll spend a long time talking about that one in the episode where we get the shield rod in.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to have a lot of fun with that.
Color me intrigued.
A couple other cool things that are notable about the Master Librarian here. This guy does a lot. Like you said, he's not really a librarian. He doesn't seem to have any, like he has like an inkwell on his desk, but he doesn't seem to be like scribing anything or checking out books to anybody. He's just chilling.
I work at a library, and that sounds an awful lot like the librarians that work there.
Well, these days they don't have to check out. These days they don't have to check out shit. It's all automated. Like
no, you do.
They're just living off the government dole.
Yeah. We should eliminate all librarians. That's socialist nonsense.
Librarians have these fancy sinecures, and they're just sucking us dry.
Now you'd be surprised how many people don't use those. And there's people. I'm having. You know what? Yeah. Let's just say
it was
that's
a joke.
Not true.
It was a joke. It's not true. Librarians are amazing and wonderful, and we should have more libraries in the world.
Yeah, there's a certain segment of the population that makes wildly liberal use of the free public services that are available at the library.
I have 20 library books checked out right now. They're mostly for my daughter, but I have 20 checked out right now.
I've got a fair few. I've got a bunch of DVDs, and I've got a Donald Duck comic book that I've been reading.
The old school ones?
Yeah.
Those are really good.
Yeah,
they're
really
basically
good.
Tintin with ducks.
Exactly. Yeah, they're so good, man.
I've got 2 manga books checked out that are like zombie stories, but it's like werewolves instead of zombies, but kind of like, but in the tone of a zombie outbreak. And Frontier House from PBS that came out during like when like Survivor was real big when it first came out. It's basically like their version of a reality TV, but it's like 3 families have to go live out in the prairie like they did in frontier times.
Is that the one where on Parks and Recreation when Leslie and Patton Oswalt have the contest to see who can live like frontier style the longest?
It's like that, yeah. Half of it's good. The other half is like, let's try and make it like Survivor. So like 2 families hate each other and they're like bitching to the camera. I don't like those parts, but the other parts are awesome.
The one family just gets destroyed. Like raiders come and just like shoot them and burn their house down.
Like one family like cheats and like they go and like trade stuff with like a normal family. And like it's shit like that. And the other mom's like,
where'd you get that car from?
Yeah, it's stupid. But they have to build their own houses. That part's cool.
Yeah, that is cool. You guys remember that old reality show where it was children who I think it was CBS, a reality show where it was just children like having to survive on their own.
Yeah. I haven't seen it, but I've seen the YouTube channel talking about it.
It was canceled after like an episode because everybody was like, what the fuck is this?
It's just blatant child abuse.
Yeah, exactly.
But just to close out the reality TV segment here, the best one ever was the Joe Schmo Show, which was on Spike TV. It was one real person, and it was Big Brother with one real person, and everybody else was an actor, and everyone was in on it, and the whole thing was like all these crazy like people trying to like have this kind of planned narrative jokes and stuff. And
wait,
like
so
and the guy
did the one guy not know?
He won, and they revealed at the end that it was all fake. It's great.
It was a big trick on him. He thought he was on a reality show.
It's literally
but
Big Brother.
else-
He was the only person who thought it was a real reality show the entire time. Well, everybody else, like all 12 people, were actors.
You can recognize some of the people nowadays because like
it's
Cricket from
Cricket,
It's Always Sunny.
Cricket.
Anthony Hopkins is in there. Marissa Tomei.
I think Janet Varney's in there. I think.
But yeah, Cricket, the guy who plays Cricket's like his best friend on the show.
Yeah,
it's fucking great. I watched it in one day. The entire thing was on when we were living in college, and I just watched the whole thing. It was amazing.
And you too can check it out from Dracula's Castle.
From Dracula, he's got an exclusive DVD library.
Have you ever seen the Joe Schmo Show, Alucard?
What is a man but a miserable little pile of DVD late fees?
What is a Joe Schmo? But
it was on Spike TV. Do you remember Spike TV, Alucard?
Dude, Dracula is a huge Spike TV fan, guaranteed.
It's on all the time. I want to kill myself.
It wasn't the same after Spike TV merged with G4.
It's true. Oh, man, I've seen too many episodes of MXC.
That's all they show now.
Andy, when you said that Dracula would be a huge Spike TV fan, was that because Dracula would put people on spikes?
There it is.
Yes.
It's so funny.
Vlad the Impaler himself. I like this Show X play with Adam Sessler and Morgan Webb.
He seems like a guy I could really hang out with in real life.
The low production values, I find them charming.
The Pereira guy seems like a dick, though.
Yeah, we can all agree about that. Considering like he and Olivia Munn hate each other now or something.
Yeah. Fuck. Okay,
let's talk
topic.
more about this video game.
Yes.
So, we're Master Librarian in the game Castlevania, in the stage The Long Library. He's got a few other useful things here. So, in addition to buying items, you can sell him gems. I don't know. Had you guys found any gemstones by this point?
The Zircon. We found the Zircon earlier. I sold that. I think it was like 500 gold for that. I had like 4,000 gold, 5,000 gold when I got here.
There's a way to glitch the game. If you have a single gem like the one Zircon, you do some fuckery with like pausing and unpausing at precise times while you're transitioning through the screens and bringing up the librarian's menu. And if you do it right, you can somehow underflow the value and make it go from 1 to like the other way around to get up to like infinity or 256 or whatever the maximum value is, and then just sell those like infinitely until you just have all the gold you could ever want. So that's what they would do in a speed run. And then if you're playing this like a second time, like if you load a clear save and like restart from the beginning, when you get to the Master Librarian, he's selling an item exclusive to New Game Plus, which is called the Duplicator. It costs 500,000 gold, and it duplicates any consumable item. So you can just continuously use consumable items for free without worrying about depleting them, which is kind of cool because
it is.
Consumable items are all like, they're so rare in this game. You get like one boomerang. It's like, well, I'm never going to use just one boomerang, right? Because I'll just use it and then it's gone.
So in a New Game Plus, you start off with 0 money, right?
I think so, although I'm not sure.
Grind money to get it.
Yeah, you'd still have to grind out $500,000.
I was like, that'd be kind of cool if like, your money carries over from the previous game or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
At the end of the game, you can either spend 40 hours grinding money, or at the end of the game, you can come back and get the duplicator when you don't need it.
But all of Alucard's late fees also carry over. So
Oh,
then,
no.
then you get the library detective from Seinfeld on his ass.
You can get I don't remember what the library. You can buy a library card. I don't
You
remember what it
can.
does though.
It's the best item in the game because it transports you to the Master Librarian whenever you use it.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Yeah,
Need to
so
go grind
it's
some
another
money
form
and
of
get
fast
that.
travel. Yeah, it's really good. It costs like 500. It's consumable, so you have to buy lots of them, or at least if
One every time,
you want
I
to. Yeah,
guess.
you want to have at least one every time. And speedrunners do some fuckery where they go to another area first, where you can pick up a library card, and then they use that to warp to the Master Librarian when they need to buy the Jewel of Open. I forget exactly how that works, but speedruns of this game are weird because they don't play the game in a very natural way, so it's kind of hard to follow what they're doing. I think there's some out of bounds, and there's some like warping and screen wrapping and shit like that.
Sequence breaking.
Yeah, which I don't find as satisfying to watch personally. I like it when they're like naturally playing the game, going through like basically the normal route of the game, but just doing it at like a high skill level. But
I have some sort
do?
of like, there's a threshold for me. Like if it's like some Sonic speedruns where it's nothing but zipping the entire time and I'm just watching the level go up and down, definitely not fun. But like if it's a few of them here and there, that's just like a quick, like, let me just push myself through this door or something, I don't mind it that much.
No,
but there's
true.
like most Sonic speedruns that are not glitchless and glitchless. There's a very specific one that's horribly boring. Mirror's Edge, where you can do glitches. It's really boring. It's just walking through, like clipping through and then walking on in nothingness to hop out halfway through the game. They're cool if they're only like a few minutes long. But if it's like a 20-minute speedrun of nothing, then it's like, eh.
Yeah, I agree. Metroid Prime is that way too. They just get out of bounds and they're just like going through like a big white void until they get where they need to go. But anyway, so you can sell gems. That's pretty tight. We've also got tactics, and tactics means you can like pay to watch a demo of how to fight a boss, which is kind of cool, but it's only bosses you've already fought.
Right.
So it's not that useful.
There's a door behind the librarian that's got like a bead curtain, and it says like adults only on it. You give him like $20, and he lets you go back there for 5 minutes.
$20? That's not bad.
It's only 5 minutes. You need to spend some money.
Can I interest you in 7 minutes in heaven, Master Alucard?
He really doesn't care about making money. He just wants someone to talk to about them because no one ever comes here. So just him.
Go back in there, wait 5 minutes, close your eyes, and don't open your eyes.
I will be here. I'll be out. It'll be me out here the whole time. Just me outside. Don't open your eyes.
Well, this seems strange to me, but okay, I guess so.
No peeking.
It's as he's in there.
No peeking.
Oh God.
Too far? No.
The tactics thing, by the way, that's a reference to. Oh, did you say too far? No, that's not too far.
I said I was too far, and then I answered my own question. Yeah.
Tactics. That's from Rondo of Blood. Actually, you could do that in Rondo of Blood also on the title menu. The gold in that game actually accumulated, and then you could spend it in the main menu to buy demos of bosses. So that's kind of cool. And then we've got the enemy list, which I've been showing you guys little entries from the enemy list occasionally throughout this series, but they come from in-game. This is the first time in a Castlevania game that you had a bestiary in-game. It's a little clunky because you can't just look from the pause menu. You have to go visit the librarian. But it's also one of the first bestiaries I can think of, period. Because like Final Fantasy certainly didn't have them at this point in time. Like Final Fantasy VII that came out this same year, they didn't have a bestiary, I don't think. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Sam.
But you could scan, but that was about it. So you'd have to scan individual monsters. I honestly, I don't think. I want to say you couldn't get a bestiary till 10. 10, you could go to the save spheres and look at enemies in the area, I think. But I don't think any other one had a... I feel like I'm misquoting that. I know that there's another one that had one, but I can't remember. Maybe one of the older ones. But I'd have to look into it.
And they've added them into like remakes of the older ones.
That might be what I'm thinking of, like it's like the Game Boy Advance versions or something like that.
So are you wondering, is this this is the first Castlevania game that has a bestiary?
It's definitely the first Castlevania game, but I can't think of many other games, period, that have one.
This came out in 97?
Yeah.
Pokemon came out in 1996.
Pokedex.
Ah, okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
That's not a real game, Aaron. Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, that's true.
That's a baby game for dumb babies. They don't know how to play video games.
Dumb goo goo gaga baby game.
Look, I mean,
it's like the video game version.
The bestiary.
It's like the video game version of that little like lawnmower that pops the balls in it. Like babies push that because they can't actually play. They can't push a real lawnmower.
Just because you can't understand IVs and don't want to doesn't mean that it's a baby game. It means that it's over your head, buddy.
I mean, that game
IV 4. How old do you have to be to play those games?
Oh, he got you with the Roman numerals. Pokemon basically is just a bestiary. That's like all that game is.
You were making
just a playable bestiary. Well, there's considerably fewer enemies on Castlevania's enemy list than there is in the original Pokemon, which I think was 150. Actually, I'm not sure now.
I was going to say, we've seen a lot of enemies so far, and we're barely scratching the surface, aren't we? Like,
yeah, we've probably seen like 25, 20. Yeah. I wouldn't. I think it's only about 20, maybe less so far.
Yeah, something like that. It can't be more than like 30 or 40, I would think. But
and
anyway,
so we've already run into recolors.
That's true, yeah.
I guess the books are different. They've got different things that come out of them.
Yeah. And then the second half of the game, the inverted castle, there are a lot of like reused enemies, but their stats are changed or reskins, things like that. So anyway, we'll see. But also, if you're playing on New Game Plus, there is a sound test feature that the Master Librarian has for you. So apparently, in addition to being like a gems dealer and whatever other shady shit he's up to, he's also a DJ, and he can spin those tracks for Alucard.
He turns his little hat around, pulls out, borrows his Alucard's shades.
Yeah, I forgot he's wearing those.
And he starts all of his raps with "My name is."
Check
Master
out
Librarian,
my hook,
I'm here to say.
Watch as I revolve this, Master Alucard.
Buy my CD. It's only $5.
Yeah, he's definitely trying to sell his burned CDs. They're in plain jewel cases, and he's just like sharpied the name of the album on the CD cover.
Everything
Follow
you buy
my
comes
SoundCloud, please.
It comes with one of my mixtapes.
I'm a backpack rapper now.
It's like, oh, I don't know how that mixtape got into your shopping bag. You can keep it though.
You might as well just keep it.
Oh, these aren't books; they're just his mixtapes. They're all the same one.
All of them there.
He had like 10,000 printed, and he just can't get rid of them. No wonder Dracula just leaves this guy alone.
It's like, oh god,
he hasn't been down here for 1,000 years.
It's like, I never should have invented the tape recorder.
Yeah, Dracula, the super scientist, is like, why did I introduce modern CD-ROM technology to the Master Librarian in the 1400s?
I love that we have this lore going of like Dracula's castle is filled with just all these people who annoy him, so he sticks them in different corners to get the fuck away from him. It's like, I'll be in the tallest tower. You all stay down there.
That tracks with the anime, too, where he just can't stand the presence of any of the other vampires.
Yeah, it's like, I want to be social, but I hate people.
And he's like actively trying to get them all killed throughout the course of that show.
Yeah.
Isn't season 4 of that coming soon?
They've been advertising it. I've seen them.
I don't know how
about
soon it is coming. It's the last one. It's the last one in this series, I guess.
Yeah.
But there's apparently going to be more in the works from the world.
It kind of makes sense. I mean, because they're doing Castlevania 3 and Curse of Darkness, which are direct sequels, or like they're one right after the other. Like
Right.
Castlevania 3 happens and Curse of Darkness happens right afterwards. And they're kind of just adapting that saga, and there's not much more they can do. Although I'm curious to see how they end up adapting the end of Curse of Darkness, because they've already changed Isaac and the other guy, the two Devil Forge masters. They're like the main characters of Curse of Darkness. Hector, that's the other one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Man, Hector is such a chump in the show.
Yeah. You can't really blame him, though, man. That vampire lady.
She's like 14 years old.
She's like 1,000.
Yeah. She definitely looks like what's the Japanese term for lowly. She looks like a lowly.
Oh, Lolita. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay,
Find me an anime girl who doesn't, please.
I'd be happy to. It's not going to be very difficult to find.
Yeah, I know. It's a joke.
Well, Aaron, I wanted to ask you something else, because Sam and I have been talking a lot about magic spells. And it turns out the Master Librarian is also a master of the arcane arts, because he's able to sell us now instructions for how to cast spells. So, Aaron, have you now been inducted into the League of Chaos Magicians?
No, I didn't buy any spells. I should have bought some spells. I ran out of money. What do you want from me?
I bought
a cool sword. What do you want from me?
Semi-useful, but has the best, like, the name, Dark Metamorphosis.
Yes.
You do it and you're like, Dark Metamorphosis.
Dark Metamorphosis.
It heals you from the blood of your enemies, which means books will not heal you because they have no blood.
They don't bleed.
Yeah.
Oh, that's clever.
So
they only bleed
do a
ink.
cool, like, and you'll glow red for a little while, and then when blood falls out of an enemy, it'll heal you.
Yeah. So skeletons wouldn't heal you either.
Nope. Only
much nothing,
fleshy and organic enemies.
Okay.
Nothing right outside of the librarian's office.
Yeah.
Do it. So like, I didn't read it, and I did it, and I was like, "What the fuck? This doesn't do anything." And I had to think about it for a second. Like, oh, okay,
right.
So so does that mean like Alucard's like inner vampire is awoken, so he's like lapping up the blood off the floor? Like,
yeah, pretty much.
On all fours.
Yeah. He's just he's like desperately trying to like drink blood out of these books, and he just ends up like drinking about a bunch of ink. It's like he's like bitten into a fountain pen. It's like his teeth are all stained black.
I will have words with this librarian.
All right, Aaron, I got a video pulled up here because we're going to talk about it. Even though you haven't found the spells, at this point, you could buy all of the spell instructions. Basically, you have to buy one and then use it to learn the spell, and then go back and buy the next one. And you can pretty much go through and buy the whole list. But I got a little demo video here that's going to show us all the different spells. So like Sam said...
Look at that cute little guy. There's a little demon gizmo.
I don't know what's going on with his face.
The Great Gazoo looking little motherfucker right there. Batmite.
Normally his face doesn't look like that.
I think this is an alternate Gremlin familiar, which was originally only in the Japanese version or the Saturn version, but I think it's been added to some modern versions of Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
So
it's pretty goofy looking.
It is pretty goofy looking, but you're distracting me from the main point of this demonstration, Aaron.
You can't show me this and expect me not to say something.
Listen, shut the fuck up. We've got serious business to cover here.
All right, show me the Konami code. Do it.
All right, so Dark Metamorphosis, like Sam said, you do basically a top roll on your pads. There's probably a fighting game term for this, but you roll from left all the way across the top to right, or vice versa. It doesn't matter. And then you press square, and then he'll go Dark Metamorphosis, and then he'll like clutch his cape, and then he'll have like this red border, and it lasts for like 30 seconds to a minute. I'm not sure, but during that time, like Sam said, whenever you draw blood from an enemy, and it lands on Alucard, he'll absorb some HP. And I think certain weapons might cause more blood to come out of an enemy, but I'm not certain about that.
I think there's certain spiked serrated stuff that does.
Cool.
So, but that's probably the least useful one, because there's another one that's a much better way to heal. But we've also got Summon Spirit, which is left, right, up, down. and then square. And as with any fighting game, left and right can be transposed. That doesn't matter. But it's just left, right, up, down, and then square. Actually, I'm not sure if it's like towards, away, or away towards, or if it'll
be
matters.
back. It'll be like back, forward.
Yeah. I kind of think it doesn't matter, but I'm not sure.
I think it doesn't, actually, thinking about it.
Yeah. So for summon spirit, whatever the case may be, it's forward, back, up, down, and then square. And then you summon this little spirit guy, this little white will-o'-the-wisp that floats around the screen, and it homes in on the nearest enemy. And it can usually hit them 2 times before it disappears, and it can go through walls, it can go through anything. It can even hit more than one enemy at once. So it's very, very useful. It uses, I want to say like 15 or 20 MP, something like that, something pretty reasonable. And it's a great way to cheese early parts of the game, especially like that Armor Lord guy, that fucker.
We saw one of the people in one of these videos that we've been referencing. We saw somebody use a very powerful version of it. Like 5 of the wisps came out.
I figured out what that is. It's actually a different spell that's called like Quadra Spirit or something like that. And I think this other YouTuber is about to demonstrate it. This is a YouTuber. I'll shout him out. His username is Smooth Johnny Cage. And he's got a lot of Castlevania videos that demonstrate how to get trophies and things like that.
Nice.
But anyway, to do the Quadra Spirit, you hold up for like 3 seconds, and then you do like a quarter roll or a half roll I really don't know these fighting game terms, but you like roll forward, you roll from top to bottom, and then you press square. So you hold up for like 3 seconds, and then you do a roll to like all the way around the D-pad to the bottom, and then you press square. And then that should summon the 4 spirits. So it's like
a torrent of spirits upon them.
It's at least 10 times as strong as summoning a single spirit.
Damn.
Right? I think that's how math works, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
You summon 4 instead of 1, and it's 10 times as strong.
10 times as strong. Yeah. The math checks out.
Yeah.
I love that Alucard's like in the lining of his cape is glowing. I love that. That looks so cool.
It's such a good detail.
Yeah.
This may be a different cape that we get later that you can equip that makes it glow like that.
I had assumed it was a spell or something, but
I think it's. I'm pretty sure it's a special cape that we'll get later on.
Whatever it is, it's fucking rad. I'm digging it.
It's fucking rad, man. This whole game is rad. All right. We've also got this one. I forget what this one is called, but it's like a teleportation magic. And Dracula does this in every single Castlevania game. It's like his special thing. He like teleports around, he appears, he opens his cape and throws 3 fireballs at you. Then you got to try and hit him in the head. Aaron, did you ever fight in Hollow Knight the secret boss Grim, the Nightmare King, or Troop Leader Grim?
I did, yes.
Okay.
And I beat him once. One of the first version
time?
of him.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever beat him the second time. That was pretty. That was a little above my pay grade.
Yeah, the second fight's insane, but he's an homage to classic Dracula. The way he appears and like shoots fireballs out and shit like that.
Yeah, I could totally see it. He is he's wild. Motherfucker.
Dude, he's out of control. Totally outrageous.
Man, I'm back.
And a bit sexy. A little sexy.
I thought I had my own dark metamorphosis in my pants.
Welcome back, Sam.
Sam had to go and summon a spirit in the bathroom for a minute there.
Exercise
an evil familiar.
Oh, welcome back, Mr. Alucard. 10 pounds lighter you look.
Dark metamorphosis. Oh.
The Master Librarian, you'll have to excuse me. Where is the restroom in the long library?
You'll need the key.
How long exactly is this library?
Well, it's all the way on the other end of the library.
Scratch that. Can I borrow your chair?
That's a callback, folks. Okay, so like I said, I forget what this spell's called, but Alucard will teleport. You can control it. You can use left and right to teleport. You can go through enemies, so that's kind of useful. And then he'll shoot the 3 fireballs out. This guy doesn't demonstrate it in the video, but if you hold up while you're doing this, instead of shooting 3 fireballs, you can shoot out like meteors instead, which if you recall from the intro, Dracula does that sometimes. So you have both options there. So it's a pretty useful spell because you can like move around and also shoot out these projectiles. Okay.
Yeah, basically, you're basically Dracula.
There's a spell for the wolf where you like charge forward, and then there's one for the... Oh, no, okay. This is my favorite one here. So check this out. There's one for the bat too, but it's really hard to pull off. And we don't have the bat yet. So forget I said that, folks. Forget about the bat.
Forget it. We will not be editing this. You must forget it on your own.
But here is the tits of this game. The Soul Steal spell. And as you can see, it's kind of hard to pull off. So you do forward, or well, the way it's laid out here, you do back, and then forward, and then do a half roll. Is that what it's called, Sam? Like a half circle roll?
Quarter circle back would be what this is. You go,
but isn't it a half circle? Because you go from right.
I guess it is. Yeah,
then
quarter
down
circle
to left.
Well, yeah, it is a full circle, half circle back. Yeah.
Okay, so you'd press forward, then half circle, and then back. It's hard. I don't know.
Back,
I don't know.
You do back,
hold
forward,
back,
half
and then,
circle, and then forward, then square.
Yeah, you go back, and then you would go into a half circle, which would be back, forward, and roll back, and then forward again. If you take off the first part of this is like one of the special moves that everybody has in Guilty Gear.
Okay.
It's like it's very common in SNK games too, where it's like half circle back, then forward again, and then a button.
It makes me think that some members of the development team were big fans of fighting games and
probably
some of them include stuff like this.
Some of the moves are very not in fighting games, like the up down, down down forward forward. That's very much not a fighting game thing. But there's like the one before this for the dog is literally is like the Hadouken.
It's
fire,
the Hadouken,
every fireball, freezing ray, quarter circle forward, quarter circle forward punch is just fighting game for a fireball.
Yeah, it's the Hadouken move.
Yeah, it's even in Mega Man X. If you get all the X pieces, you can do the super Hadouken.
Right. Well, you have to get all the pieces and go to a specific place and have full health and yada yada yada. But yes,
ironically, though, it's not in Super Smash Brothers.
No, I said fighting games.
Yeah,
but it has Ryu, right? Ryu in it.
Yeah, but
you can actually do those moves.
You can do it, but you don't do the button combo.
I think you can do the inputs.
You can do smash moves or like similar moves. I know it's
well, you can do a Hadouken, but you just press B.
Right, but that's you can do inputs.
I think for a lot of the fighting game characters, you can just do B, but they also made it so you can do the inputs if you want to.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like specifically with Terry Bogard, you can do like his full weird, like they call them like pretzel motions. King of Fighters has some really wacky. They're hard. Those are harder than other games, but they're in there. Yeah. You don't have to do them though. You can do the smash moves and stuff, and just like regular Smash characters, and they do them.
All right. Well, Alucard, his final smash would be the Soul Steal, because that's how game breaking it is. If you manage to pull off, and this is a very difficult input, I think. I fuck it up a lot, but if you get good at it and practice it, it is so good. You can't really see it in this video because he's just demonstrating them in an empty room in the long library. But what Soul Steal does is anything within range, even stuff that's slightly off the screen, takes damage over time. They'll take 5 to 8 hits, just pop, 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 one right after the other. And then little droplets of HP will be siphoned off and sucked over to Alucard. And he'll recover a certain amount of HP depending on how many hits he did. And if there's multiple enemies on screen, you can recover basically your whole HP bar just by hitting them all. It's a screen nuke. It hits everything. So if you're ever in a room where there's just a crap ton of enemies, lots of fleamen and, annoying enemies that you don't want to deal with, you can do that. It cuts through a lot of defenses. So enemies that have like a really, really high defense value, it can be very useful against. It hits a lot of times in a row, and it heals your HP. So it costs a lot of MP, like 50 MP or something like that, but it is so worth it. Using this spell, you can completely break the game in half.
And now I know it. Thanks so much.
So that's a soul steal. I made liberal use of this on my most recent playthrough. And then this is the bat one. Again, we don't have the bat transformation yet, but you can do a wing smash attack. This is another very difficult input, but it just makes you charge forward.
That looks like a bird. I'm just going to say it. That looks like a bird. That doesn't look like a bat.
Huh?
Well, bats are birds.
Oh, I thought bats are bugs. That's what Calvin taught me.
Oh, Calvin.
I'm just saying. It looks like a bird.
It's the color of the bat will change depending on what your cloak is. Yeah,
that's cool. I noticed that who's the little lady floating by Alucard there?
That's Julia Roberts.
Ooh. I assume it's a familiar little sprite thing.
Yeah. It's a familiar.
Just showing a lot of leg. That's all I'm saying.
You're gonna have a lot of distractions on screen once you unlock that familiar, Aaron.
Just gonna die and die and die.
Okay, so there's your spells, folks. Aaron, are you gonna master all those spells and use them to great effect from now on?
I'm definitely. The one that I remember right now, which is the Soul Steal, the Soul Steal, is that what
Soul Steal, yeah,
Soul Steal. I think I'll probably use that once or twice.
Yeah, you probably want to. And the other good thing about it is that it even can steal HP from like skeletons and things like that. And even there's certain enemies that you can't defeat. They're like inanimate. They're just there to block your path. But it can even steal HP from those enemies.
Oh wow!
And MP recovers over time. So as long as you're willing to stand still for like 60 seconds to recover enough MP to cast it, you can just, if you're super low on health, you can just wait it out and just keep casting it. It's so good. I cannot stress it enough.
Yeah, and I remember it. Like that's the big hurdle, isn't it? Remembering it and being able to just recall it, all right? Like that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one's...
You'll remember the input easily enough, but executing it on whenever you want to is a little bit difficult. It might take you a few tries.
Yeah, it looked like you did it pretty quick.
Okay, well, we're getting to the end of what I want to talk about on this level. Let me mention the music tracks. There's a couple to talk about here. There is the main one for just walking through the library, which is called Wood Carving Partita. And then there's the track Master Librarian, which is what plays when you're speaking with the Master Librarian. What'd you guys think of these tracks?
I fucking loved the partita. That's just circling in my head right now. Ding 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 ding. Very like Victorian fancy party sounding.
Yeah, it's like awesome. Chamber music.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I was jamming. It's a bop, as the kids say these days.
It really slaps.
I didn't really clock the librarian's music though.
I really,
or at least it didn't
stick
with me.
I think that one's really catchy. I just like hanging out in that menu and listening to it. Doon, 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 doon. I'm humming it, but it's I don't know why, because Aaron doesn't know what the song is.
That one sticks out to me more.
Interesting.
Yeah, especially, I mean, because you're going to come back and talk to him a lot of times throughout the game, probably using library cards to get back. Because you can buy potions from him too, and potions are super useful. It's usually a good idea to stock up on those. Buying equipment isn't that useful because we're quickly going to get to a point where he can't sell us any better equipment than what we have. Although I do think buying some of the accessories is worth it. He sells a ring called the Ring of Pails, which is pretty good. It's just like a +1 to a bunch of your stats. So I would recommend to buy that. And then the capes, because they're just straight upgrades. We don't have a lot of capes yet in the game.
And they're so fancy.
It's fashion souls. I mean, that's the whole point of this game, really.
Mm-hmm. So would you rather shop to the librarian's music or to the Wii Shop music?
Wii Shop music, just because I've been thinking about this a lot lately, because whenever I've been watching this GTA RP stream, and whenever he does his paperwork, he plays the Wii Shop music.
Wait, what do you mean really whenever he does his paperwork?
Yeah, I think that's one of the best pieces of video game music ever made.
Hold on. explain something. What do you mean when you say he does his paperwork?
So in GTA RP, I'll do the quick take. It's GTA 5, heavily modded for people to RP in, and there are criminals, cops, and civilians. There's a government. A mayor is elected. There are DAs and ADAs. There are chief sheriff got elected. There are ranks, and there's an amendment that was made for the island. There are laws that were created and citations that can be made. So if you pull someone over and they break a bunch of laws, you actually have to fill out the paperwork as a police officer to then charge them. And if it goes to court, then if you fuck up your paperwork, then they have to drop certain charges. It's a big deal. But if a guy does robs a bank and kills a cop and all this stuff, there could be a lot of paperwork. So he puts on the Wii shopping music when he's doing his paperwork. He also plays the Ace Attorney music when he's in court. Yeah, it's really great.
Objection.
He used to, when people start talking to what used to talk to him that he didn't really care about, and when they would just kind of go on and on, he'd play the Oblivion music for like NPCs, because it's just like NPCs, like they're people, but they're basically NPCs to him. But so I've been listening to that song a lot lately, and I've never gotten tired of it.
No, it's great. It's the
so
perfect
it's really
song.
It's in like the top 5, maybe top 3 best video game piece of music I think that's ever been made.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because it's
ambient.
just so good, and you can listen to it forever.
And you know what? It always is a little bittersweet though, because it reminds me that the Wii Shop channel isn't around anymore.
It's true.
And all those games that were on the Wii Virtual Console are just gone. I mean, if you bought them while they were still available, you could, but
yeah. Well, Sony went, but you hear Sony flip-flopped?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
And it's cool because it makes me...
They were going to close down they still are closing the PSP shopping network, but PS3 online network and the Vita, they were going to shut it down this July. Mm-hmm. And there are quite a bit. There's a lot of stuff on there that you could no longer get. So people were freaking out about it, but they changed. They went back and said they're not going to shut it down. They're going to shut down the PSP one, but not the Vita and the PS3 store.
Cool. That's cool, because I still have my PS3. That's why I'm playing this on.
Yeah. It's super cool. I'm really glad they did that. I mean, I suspect that they probably had to like re-up a bunch of licensing agreements, and it probably wasn't cheap. So I think it's pretty cool that and that's probably why they were going to let it expire in the first place, because they didn't want to keep paying those agreements.
There's some stuff on there, like the 2 first digital Devil Saga games and like Suikoden 1 and 2 that are like pretty much impossible to get.
Yeah.
Like there's Suikoden, even after it came out digitally, was still like $200 for a copy of Suikoden 2. Just
one of the rarest games of all time.
I think there was an article that was saying like, hey, just pirate it now. If they're going to close it, just start pirating their stuff.
Dude,
and I noticed the site, I'm not even going to say it on here because I don't want people to find out about it, that I find my stuff from. Whenever they announced that, they added PS3 games to it. And we're putting PS3 games on there. So
it's like a protest?
No, just as like, oh, fuck, well, I better put these up here. Because the guy who does it, it's more like an archive so like they don't disappear. Mm-hmm. It's not like a nefarious, like, yes, get the game for free. It's
yes, we will steal the games.
Like these PS3 games have been up for a while, but I don't think they put it up there because it was like, well, you can get it. And since they were going to take it down, I think he started uploading them. But that's where I got my copy of this, because I can't find my copy in the basement, because I know I own a copy of it, but it's just in a box somewhere.
I'm obligated to say that I do not condone that behavior, and that this is an anti-piracy podcast. And also, I'm obligated to say that there's a better than even chance that I have your copy of the game, because when we lived together, we traded games back and forth so much. I can't remember whose is whose at this point.
I know I have it because it was like the only 1 disc game that I owned on PlayStation. Because I was so into RPGs, and like Metal Gear Solid was 2 discs, Resident Evil 2 was 2 discs. I think it was that and the first Resident Evil were the only 2 PlayStation games I ever owned that were only 1 disc.
Yeah, that makes sense, man. Yeah, all the best PlayStation games had like 4 discs.
Yeah.
I'm a broken record at this point, but I'm still shocked, and not shocked, annoyed that Nintendo has not put a virtual console on the Switch. It's just all this money they were leaving on the table.
Well,
boggles the mind.
They are and they aren't. I mean, I suspect that what's happened behind the scenes is that it's just not economical for them to put all these agreements in place anymore. If you go back and look at the Wii U Virtual Console, like most of the games that are available for SNES and NES are the games that they've added to their subscription service.
But we're leaving
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, all the N64 and GameCube games that they should be able to put on a virtual console at this point, and they're just not. It's just
true,
like,
yeah.
oh, come on.
Yeah, with the N64 first party games, they're either, I hope they do a subscription thing, but they might just be thinking about the best way to monetize it. And like, can they sell them individually, and what can they do?
The Switch has been out for 5 years.
Yeah, but maybe because they just
for 5 years, fucking.
Yeah, but there's a whole mess of stuff with, like, you know, getting the right to use an emulator to emulate their games. So they like found one, right, with Super Mario 3D All Stars, so they can do it. So I now that's run its course, right?
Yeah,
because it's no longer available.
It seems like that was like a test run for their emulator, maybe.
I wouldn't be surprised to see more stuff like that in the future. Maybe.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, yeah, maybe. We'll see.
And,
I mean,
Doom 64 is on there too, so that's another one.
Yep.
Yeah, that wasn't their doing, though.
No, but I mean, it's another example of an N64 game being ported.
Sure. Yeah.
And they probably played ball with it on that and was like, here's our emulator that we're using or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, like, at this point, if now is when they decide to launch the virtual console, like, they need to do it probably soon if they're going to do it, because the Switch is already, like, it's an old system now. It's middle-aged.
I don't think
least.
they're going to do it.
It's an elderly person.
I don't think they're going to do it either. I don't think Nintendo, if they haven't done it by now, then I don't think they're going to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to do it
mainly
either.
because there aren't even that many, like PS2 games, right? There's more PS2 games on the PlayStation 3 store than there are on the PlayStation 4 store. They didn't bring all of them over. Only a handful, probably whatever the top selling ones were over, and then there's only a handful of them on there. I just think there's not as much nostalgia for that yet, if that makes sense. Like, the retro nostalgia indie games are still Super Nintendo style. Like, we're slowly getting people are making, like, the indie guys, like the guys who make, like, the weird shit no one heard, like, really plays. They're doing, like, PlayStation style graphics as an aesthetic.
I've seen that. I've seen a couple like that. Yeah.
So I think we're gonna slowly get there, but I just think it mainly because the popular indie style. I mean, was it Stardew Valley, right? That's got the Super Nintendo aesthetic still.
Do you think that could be part of it? Is that, like, and I'm not saying I endorse this argument, but I've heard it that, like, the polygons on PS1 don't hold up as well as, like, the sprites from, like, the 16-bit era do. So, like, maybe people aren't, like, wanting to make games in that polygon style.
I think I don't think that's, I don't know if that's I really think it's just pulling on the nostalgia isn't there yet. You know, like, we're getting there. Like, because people younger than us, like, that era is our Super Nintendo era. So we just needed those kids to get a little older and, like, indie games to evolve to the next step, I guess. And, you know, it's a weird stage in video game history. It's like puberty, you know, it's like they're fun games, but they're maybe not really good games, you know, like
Master Alucard, you're going to be growing hair in strange places now.
It's like, even the best, like, N64 and PlayStation games are kind of fucking weird to, like, play with like, with like an understanding of games after that.
I've been playing Donkey Kong 64 lately on the Wii U Virtual Console, so I'm just saying it's still there and you can still play it, folks. But that game is fucking weird. You're like, you're pulling out a gun and a camera and you're playing a musical instrument. There's never been another game that like it.
And weird, even just at a base, like, game structure sense.
Yeah.
Because everyone was trying to figure out how 3D worked. And if you look at it, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 generations of 3D after that. So, like, knowing only the generations of 3D that figured it out already, like going to that like weird, awkward voice break. I'm the PlayStation 1. You know, it's got to be kind of like, there's got to be a real strong nostalgia, you know, for that kind of stuff. Like to play a game with tank controls and isometric view, like the original Resident Evil, right? That we got to get over the hump of it being frustrating to being nostalgic for more like the mass. So I think we're getting there, because people have made, you brought up the PlayStation, there was this dithering they did, which was kind of like a filter that put like these little like crosses on it that made it look better on TVs. Some of these indie guys are putting that on their PlayStation games that give it like style, to give it that feel of a PlayStation game. So like we're kind of getting there,
okay.
But this is like real, like weird, like collections of indie games that come out for free in Halloween or something.
I'll tell you what I'm really nostalgic for, and this is the last thing I'll say, and then we should probably wrap up this episode. But pre-rendered backgrounds is something I'm really nostalgic for. They like Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9. They look so damn good, those backgrounds.
What I love, what I have a special place in my heart, are 3D backgrounds, maybe slightly isometric with 2D sprite characters. Xenogears, Wild Arms 2.
Oh yeah, sure.
There are a lot of art. There's like a small period of time with a real blocky like towns and villages. Grandia 1.
There's a little slice of history there.
Just real tiny within that.
You got to slice it really thin. Yeah.
I really like an RPG like that for whatever reason.
Yeah, buddy. I'm gonna have to stay up late playing some RPGs tonight, but I think we about did it for the long library, though, guys. We've explored a good chunk of it, but we'll be back at some point. But we got the Jewel of Open. That was the main reason to come here. We talked to the Master Librarian. We got a bunch of items, and we fought some headless skeletons and some anthropomorphic books. We probably destroyed a bunch of priceless manuscripts. That this was the only copy. That there was like this, and then the burning of the Library of Alexandria were like the two greatest book crimes in history.
Popular Science issue 1.
We're trying to uphold the Richter tradition and destroy all.
As my good friend Trevor once did, I will now destroy all the books in Wallachia.
Before we wrap up, I wanted to touch one thing, you guys. I just want to let you know, I went to the clock tower and it was great. It was a lovely time. I had a blast. I fucked up a bunch of giant floaty skulls, and it was wonderful. I didn't get very far because of that jump, but
you didn't get to the real clock tower yet.
Yeah, there's a very specific. It's not the whole thing. There is a very specific vertical area in the clock tower that will make you hate this game.
Yeah,
but now I got the life leech or whatever it is.
It doesn't matter.
It truly doesn't. Soul Steel's not going to help you that much.
That's it, Soul Steel.
But nevertheless, we're moving on, and we actually have a choice here. With the Jewel of Open, you can go to either the Underground Waterway or the Royal Chapel. And for reasons of good form, we'll be going to the Royal Chapel. So tune in next time on this show, folks. We're going to discuss that stage. But before we go today, Sam, what words of wisdom can you offer to our listeners?
Action button on YouTube. Go to it. Don't be afraid that the shortest review is 2 hours and 55 minutes. They are all wonderful. If you listen to our Doom podcast, listen to the Doom podcast, the episode. And I really want everyone, and they're not going to do it because it's 6 hours long, but there is a 6-hour review of a game called Tokimeki Memorial, which is a PlayStation 1 dating sim that was created by the same man who made the game we're playing now.
Yeah, Todo Hagihara, I think is his name.
Was it
Hagihara or Hagihiro, something like that?
I just don't remember which one exactly, but they're involved, and it will, if you get into it, it'll take over your soul and your heart, and it'll make you sad that you can't play the game unless you know Japanese. I didn't want it to end. I didn't want the review to end.
There's a hack where if you to read Japanese, you'd use the Google Translate, and you can just point it at your screen, and it'll translate it for you in real time.
We'll see. There's a lot of text in that game.
Yeah. It's a visual novel.
Watch the video and you'll see what I'm saying. Just watch the 6 hours. Just watch it. You'll see.
I was confused when I was saying that guy's name earlier. It's Koji Igarashi, right? Is
Igarashi,
the one that made that and then made this. Hagi Hata is the guy that made Rondo of Blood. And then the two of them did a mind meld and teamed up for Symphony of the Night.
There you go. Yeah.
Did you guys watch Mortal Kombat?
Not yet.
It wasn't very good. Sorry. So I didn't.
I watched it yet. Nobody's talking about it, and I'm like, I want to watch it just because I'm not a big Mortal Kombat guy, but I still want to watch it.
Left it feeling neutral about it.
Yeah, it doesn't look bad, but it doesn't look. Yeah.
Well, but how could you top the '90s one with Christopher Lambert?
Apparently, you can't.
No, let me just say this. Halfway through, I started fast forwarding through anything where they were talking to each other.
Ouch. Ouch.
It's okay, but I am not interested. It's someone made a really good point, and this will be the last thing I say. It said for fans, it's a 7 out of 10, and for everyone else, it's a 4 out of 10.
Ooh.
Yeah. Fair enough. All
right. Well, those are Doom the movie type of numbers. So maybe I'll check it out for funsies. We'll see. But thank you for that, Sam. And now, Aaron, what do you want to say to the fine folks at home?
I want to say thank you, everybody, for listening. Please like, share, and subscribe if you can. It would help us out greatly. OneStageAtAtime.com for more of our things. Please keep wearing your masks and get vaccinated as soon as you can, so we can end this fucking pandemic already. And everybody, save and continue.
COVID is fake.